it's Leo, and it's time to talk about the 10th episode of Tropical-Rouge Precure, which was incredible. Oh my god, I love this episode so much. One of my favorites from Tropical-Rouge, even though I have some problems with it. So let's start. Manatsu, girl Manatsu. Look, we've had bad students in the Precure franchise, but I think we never had someone like Manatsu. She is the worst. Girl, I'm so sorry for you. And it was very funny at the start, the girls interacting and immediately saying, well, I just watch the class once and decorate everything in my head and I don't have to study. And the girls were like, girl, I think you are an exception. No one is like you, okay? This is not a good advice at all. That scene was so amazing. Again, another thing that I think that Tropical-Rouge does very, very nicely, which is work with the characters. Each of them with their own characteristics, with their own addition to the group. And they're all able to showcase that somehow. And Manatsu, well, she needs to study a lot because she needs for the Tropical Club to keep running. So she goes home, she starts studying. And I loved that first scene of Manatsu studying while Kurun and Laura were playing in the background. Look, I totally understand Manatsu. I usually have a very hard time concentrating. When I have to study, I have a very hard time. Everything else seems more interesting than studying. I tidy up my room. I'm a very unorganized person. So for me to try to tidy things up, girl, the desperation. I get hungry, I get thirsty, everything at the same moment. This is something that happens a lot, and I really saw myself in that scene. Kids, study hard, okay? Don't follow my example or Manatsu's example. Study hard, please don't. But that was relatable. You know, that was something I looked and said, wow, that is so human. I really see myself in that. And then we go to the villain side, which, I don't know, it felt to me that there was an error in continuation here. We see Shongiri cooking something that the witch wanted, and then he didn't want to collect motivation. He was focused on the witch. I found that very interesting because it feels like there is some sort of connection between the generals and the witch. Chongire seemed concerned about her. He wanted to cook exactly what she wanted. Why? It felt like he was worried about the Witch of Delays in a way. So I like when the villains aren't controlled or, you know, they get infused with dark power and they act not in their own volition. So it's very nice that we have someone like Shongire and the others too. The others aren't being controlled or anything like it. So I'm very curious to learn why they're acting together with the Witch of Delays. Butler showed it to him that now he can create a Zenzen Yaraneda. It felt weird to me because it was like impressive. It was something impressive, but it already happened last episode, in episode 9. So it was being shown again as if episode 9 didn't happen. You know what I mean? I don't know, it just felt a little strange and out of sequence after what happened in episode 9. Nonetheless, he went on to attack and the girls started fighting, but the girls couldn't handle the fight. An interesting fact about this, which I think is something that I've been noticing for the past episodes, which I think is interesting, is Cure Papaya. When the fight started, Flamingo and Summer jumped into the monster and they already started punching and kicking. I thought Papaya was going to use her laser eye beams, but she looked at the monster and said, there is something different about this Yaraneda. It's not like the others. And I found that interesting because so far Papaya has been the most observant in the fights. She is the one that looks around and tries to understand what's really going on and to get the feel for the fight itself and for her to try and create a little technique. She did this twice, and in this episode she already noticed something different about this monster as well. And so a Zenzen Yaraneda is a stronger Yaraneda, and it was able to steal some motivation, but Kira Summer was desperate to finish the fight, so she went on to use her solo attack. It did not work. So very early on, the solo attacks are not working anymore. The desperation, girl, because I love those solo attacks so much. I really hope they're able to use them, still able to use them, even if they're not as used as finishers, because I really want to keep on seeing all of those 4 amazing solo attacks. But yeah, Kira didn't defeat the monster with her attack. It's a stronger one. It stopped her attack and it detransformed her, and it stole her motivation. Laura got the motivation back. The pot was left on flying, and Laura went on to try and find the pot. But Manatsu had no motivation anymore. 2 things before we go on. I forgot to say, I was going to say at the start, I forgot. The art style of this episode was probably the best one we had since the start. I thought that this episode was so beautiful. The team that worked on this episode did such a great job. Oh my god, I was really impressed. And also the soundtrack. It was incredibly great. We had lots of scenes from Manatsu showing that she had no motivation anymore, and together with that we had a background track which was amazing, simply amazing. And then the fight stopped because Shongire went back because it was time to feed the witch. As I said, he was worried about the witch. The witch is important to Shongire. Is she important to Shongire as a chef? Like, does he take his profession that seriously? Or is it because of something else? I really hope it's because of something else. And there is something more in their relationship, of the witch with her generals. And I'm very curious, but he wasn't able to feed her at that moment. Butler stopped him. Butler, very weird, very shady. And Butler stopped him, so he went back to continue the fight. And so we had 2 dynamics at this moment. We have the girls detransforming and, trying to get Manatsu to get the motivation back, and Laura going after the pot. So the first one, let's talk about the girls. I found, again, very nice. Tropical-Rouge being able to work with all the characters in different ways. Sango, very kind, showing the new nail polish line. Very cute. Manatsu, Milady talking about books to Manatsu not wanting anything. And Asuka, I love Asuka so much. Coming with the melon pun, and then she's like, I'm gonna punch her. I love the girls. All of them. They feel very precious. And it's interesting. As I was saying about Asuka before, I think that Asuka being the older one, they let her be a little bit more imperfect. Is this a word? I don't know. They let her have more flaws than the other cures who are older, who have this older sister vibe. Asuka is allowed to make more mistakes and have more flaws in her character, which is bringing her a lot down to earth, I think, and I'm loving her a lot. And on the other hand, we have Laura. Laura goes on to find the pot. And so far in Tropical-Rouge, Laura has been someone who's very focused on becoming the queen, who is very focused on treating the girls as cures to help her achieve her dream and save her land. We see some moment in Tropical-Rouge of Laura having a little bit more emotion, but in this episode, this really hit hard. You could really see that Laura was not doing it because of her land and because of her dream of becoming a queen. She was worried about Manatsu. It was in the, she was in the heat of the moment and she didn't have time to think about things through. She was worried about Manatsu, and that was her motivation at the moment. Manatsu, saving Manatsu, getting Manatsu's motivation back. Girl, that moment was amazing. And her getting dirty for Manatsu as well. Her, royalty Laura getting dirty because she loves her friend so much. She wants to get Manatsu's motivation back. And not once she thought of Manatsu is a cure and she needs... No, she was worried about her. It was very clear. Even though before that, Manatsu said, I don't want to be a cure anymore, and that made Laura feel desperate, we could really see that she was worried about Manatsu as a person, as a friend, and if you are a shipper, as something more too. But anyways, great job in portraying Laura this way in the soundtrack. Again, I still think Laura is the star of the episode, even though I think Manatsu also is a big star. And so we get back to the girls, the fight continues, Shongiri comes back, the girls try to fight the monster, they can't. The fighting was very frustrating to watch because, like, they were gonna lose, we know that, but they could have still tried something out. We see Kurokoro using her shield once and very quickly because she gets blown away. And then we just see the girls laying down, getting beaten up, and then they get up, and then they go after the monster, and then they get beaten again, and then they get up, and they, you know, it's that dynamic. It's very tiring. And Manatsu is watching everything, and it was very beautiful how Manatsu started reacting to little things the girls were saying. Oh my god. We were talking in the live stream before this episode how Tropical-Rouge wasn't really getting too emotional. Girl, this episode changed everything, and it got really emotional. It got really deep into the girls' emotions. And one other thing that I found very interesting about the fighting scene, even though it was frustrating to watch because of this dynamic of the girls getting beaten and then getting up and getting beaten and getting up, the girls did not give up any second. Well, it rarely happens in Precure, but what happens sometimes is that they get beat up and then they don't have energy to get up again. They get beat up and that's it. You know, they stand in the ground like hurting. They can get up. This one, they got up every single time. And then Manatsu, even with no motivation at all, was able to stand up and go, you know, try and do something. And even though at the start she wasn't able to do it, the girls were able to protect her, and then she started coming back to herself little by little. Fairuz, Manatsu's voice actor, what a great job she did. What a great job she did. Girl, I was blown away by her voice. When Manatsu had no motivation, she was really able to play that. Really able to play that. Superb, superb. What a great job she did in this episode. And then Laura came back with the motivation, but at that moment, Manatsu had already regained her motivation. And I think, I don't know about you, but I felt that at that, like, I almost cried when Manatsu transformed again. It was super emotional. I really loved it. And when she finished the transformation and Laura saw her shining with like an aura around her. It got back to what happened in the first episode and how Laura saw that and started admiring the fact that she was a cure now. And I felt that was very beautiful. You know, I like this callback this early, and it's important to Laura, and the way her eyes went all tear-eyed when she saw that Manatsu was already being able to stand up and become Cure Summer once more. So beautiful. As I said, this episode really delivered in the emotions. And then the motivation got back, and then the girls were surrounded by that beautiful rainbow power. And the girls... Oh, another interesting thing about rainbow, the motivation today was rainbow as well. It was Manatsu's motivation. The color was rainbow colored. Cure Summer, girl. And so after seeing that, you know, like it got their power back again, and we saw the girls each with her own perk, very beautiful, and they were able to talk to Manatsu. And Manatsu, another thing I loved, Manatsu owning up to her losing motivation, even though it wasn't her fault, it was still her who said that she didn't want to be a cure anymore, didn't want to participate in the other things anymore. So she said, I'm sorry. It was nice to see. And the girls, they all embraced her again, and they all had that little thing that they tried to get her motivation back earlier on. It was another amazing scene. And then this new ring was born. I was expecting for the fight to go a little bit longer after they got their motivation back. I wanted to see them fighting against Zenzen and Araneda a little more, you know, and be able to fight in a more direct way and not get destroyed like they did before. But no, when they got the power up, they already did the attack, Mixed Tropical, which is incredibly nice. I really love that each of the girls they all have their own moment, creating their own heart, and then Kira-sama blowing up that heart and creating that big chicken that is mixed tropical. But yeah, I've been saying this is a chicken. It's not really a chicken. This bird is actually a combination of each of the girls' powers. We have the head, which is Kira Flamingo. We have the thing in the head, I forgot how it's called, which is from Kira Coral. We have the wings from Kira Summer, and we have the body from Kira Papaya. It's basically a chimera bird, which is actually a Feng Huang. That was probably the inspiration for this attack. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but a Feng Huang is a mythical, legendary chimera bird. And this information was brought to me by Inu, who noticed all of those references. Thank you so much, Inu. And well, just to be a little bit more literal, Feng Huang is made up of the beak of a rooster, the face of a swallow, the forehead of a fowl, the neck of a snake, the breast of a goose, the back of a tortoise, the hindquarters of a stag, and the tail of a fish. So basically this attack is created kind of like how a Feng Huang is created. Feng Huang is created by lots of different parts of bodies of different animals to create one bird, and the mixed tropical attack is created by different parts of the attacks of each of the girls, different parts of the powers of each of the girls. It's a nice observation about this, and I really like this attack. Tropical-Rouge is really delivering on the attacks. I love it. Really, really do. And at the end, Manatsu failed all her tests. Girl, what a disaster, girl. Okay, as I said, I have the same trouble she had when studying, but I never had those grades, okay? I never had those grades. And she is probably gonna still study and be able to regain the Tropical Club because there are other tests, and she is gonna be able to get her grades back, I'm sure of it. Next episode, it seems it's going to be a fun and chill episode in which the girls are going to participate in the contest of sand art. I'm curious. I'm curious to see where this episode will lead us, and if we're going to start seeing a more mellow Laura, like we did in that moment with Manatsu, when Manatsu got back. Oh my god, both of them hugging each other. Laura hugging Manatsu, and even when Manatsu said, like, you're stinky, she's like, it's because of you, and then they hugged each other even more. I love those girls so much. I love Tropical-Rouge so much. Tropical-Rouge, I am so sold on Tropical-Rouge right now. I am having the best time watching this season. I'm really, really loving it. It just needs to get a little better on fights. Apart from that, girl, I am living my dream. I am living my dream. And what about you? Did you like episode 10? What did you feel about it? What did you feel about the mixed tropical attack? It's great, isn't it? I want to take this little time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, I really, really appreciate your support, and I really appreciate that you believe in Magical Cinnamon. And if you've watched up to now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye bye!